Forts Pro League. And we're off to round 3, where here we have on the left-hand side, it is Team Westwind, playing against their opponents in the red, Team Anemone. So this has been a wonderful back and forth of a match here. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this one ends, because it has been exciting so far, and it's looking like it's going to be exciting to start, because we have two very fast-paced commanders. Team Westwind here on the left side in blue playing as Pinchfit's commander, so they'll be moving very quickly through the tech tree and getting out their weapons. Whereas on the opposite side, on the right hand in the red, Team Anemone is playing as a Seep commander. You know what that means? It's missiles. A lot of missiles. We're going to see some swarm missiles placed here. I'm assuming right here, as well as right here. So that's going to be quite the nice missile position. Remember, guys, that we have more content, more Forts Pro League coming out every single week, with Forts content multiple times a week, every week, as we have for a very long time. So make sure to hit that follow button, make sure to hit that subscribe button, so you don't miss a single episode as they release here. And also, I know you guys have enjoyed the Forts Pro League, so I would like to do some more similar style stuff, so please let me know. Either in the comments or via Discord, what you want to see. If there's a mod or some other similar kind of content that you would like to see cast or otherwise played out. And it looks like things are about to get exciting here. We saw a tech share, as in Geiger in the lower base constructed this heavy weapons facility, and then gave it to Malm, who has not really done much of anything else right now. Usually when I see this kind of tech sharing, we see the receiving player go with something like an upgrade center, so that you have one player that's stacked with all the things. It'll be like upgrade center plus upgraded mines. But here, Malm just is kind of sitting around with a lot of money and not spending it on much, and also getting harassed by buzzsaws, which is, you know, classic buzzsaw. I am curious to see how this is going to work out. We see a bit of floating of cash here, but this is going to be a howitzer placement. That is substantial metal floating away. And unfortunate, but we should see Malm placing a howitzer right there. So it'll be a fairly quick howitzer. In fact, that'll be a pre-5-minute howitzer, which is going to be a bit exciting, as we see the first swarm missile launch, designating their target on a few exposed mines. That's going to cause some damage there. Mines, classic targets. Well, I guess not so classic targets, but targets nonetheless. Interesting decision to sell off this missile. I think maybe because there's bracing above it, it doesn't actually launch. We have a similar situation with this lower missile, where it can just go straight up into his teammate's core, which is a potentially wonderful experience that you guys will love to see. Turbines, poor Malm. Turbines in the last match, as well as this one, it's just, he's not allowed to have energy production. Swarm missiles have done devastating damage to him every single time. I mean, it's always funny to see swarm missiles just hunt, just seek and destroy all the all the turbines. The problem that Anemone is going to face here is that they don't have enough nuclear option. They have a whopping 2 missile launchers and not much else. So we do see Nemo in the lower fort going for laser weaponry, and I think Anemone is going to crutch on that laser. I say crutch as if lasers aren't an incredibly powerful strat that has won games countless times over and again. Before they get those lasers on the board, they're going to have to defend against this howitzer, which is coming online right now, and I believe is going to be... well, it's not ready to fire because it doesn't have an open door. It doesn't have a door on it. But that could deal a lot of damage. This map doesn't quite have the same collapse potential as many of the other hanging maps. as the classic hanging map. But I mean, if you just go straight to the core, like that does a lot of damage too. Dory down to 82%. A fairly substantial chunk of splash damage across the front of Dory's, well, plate armor. But nothing that can't be replaced and hasn't already been replaced in, you know, swift order. I suspect we're going to see a double nuke launch here very quickly out of Team Anemone. By very quickly, I mean about 15-20 seconds from now. Whereas on the other side, Malm has, well, they're trading their one cannon tech back and forth. Nuke taken out and the howitzer taken out. So the skies have been cleared. Both teams have sufficient anti-air to get the job done. I actually really like this tech sharing back here, because only one player had to spend on tech, which means Malm was able to get the howitzer out, and it's still, Geiger still has access to the cannon tech whenever Geiger gets the money to place a cannon, which has happened at least once already, exactly once already. As well as Malm just connecting real quick to throw down a cannon of its own. Solid hit, a little bit of damage, not very much damage at all. At some points, the background bracing below Dory's fort is going to cause this lower nuke to fail to fire. I do not know what that point is, but Dory will know when he gets a nuke shoved straight into his bottom side, which is going to be dramatic and explosive and exciting in like all the wrong ways. Or all the right ways, depending on which team you're on. Speaking of which team are you guys rooting for here? You guys rooting for Westwind? The classic, or should I say the known, those who have tried the FPL before and made their way through it? Or Anemone? A team whose names have not graced us in the Forts Pro League. 2 more cannons are officially online for Team Westwind, so this howitzer is going to have cannon fire follow-up. Double nuke firing. One makes it. Again, Malm taking some pretty heavy hit. I just want to say, one of those swarm missiles, despite the nuke going directly to Malm, went wild and just straight heat-seeking levels of turbine hunting. Took out one of Geiger's turbines here, which is just, you know, classic. Classic turbine. Or classic swarm missile. You see cannon follow up every time. Every single time, the cannon just punches so deep. Cannons don't have the largest explosive radius, nor do they have the most penetration power. They're just kind of a middle road in between. But howitzers have an incredible amount of explosive power. So they detonate on the opponent's fort, doing wide splash damage, weakening every strut around, and then the cannon just finishes it off, penetrating deep and dealing a bit of splash damage in the process. It's very effective, just as a 1-2 punch. Kind of surprised to see Geiger hasn't yet placed a second cannon. Although, it looks like Geiger's kind of suffering immensely from energy issues, as there it is, howitzer cannon combo, shredding Dory's defenses, leaving his core completely exposed. Oof. Dory down to 21%, just barely recovers, but that is not nearly enough armor to survive another triple tap of cannon fire. And I think Westwind knows this. He's gearing up for another volley. No alpha strike, but still gets close enough that Dory's core is chipped down to 16%, which is not much percent. Blood is in the water, and Westwind knows it. Oh yeah, that's a lot of wood. That's a lot of spacing that was just removed from Dory's base. And just like that, Dory is eliminated, now having to merge control. Where once it was Dory and Nemo. Now, it's just a Meme. The combined power of two. Because remember, players in the Forts Pro League, with the brand new feature, become co-op when they die. They become one, joined. And by their APMs combined, it may actually be more powerful than two players separately, which is a thing that has happened. Oh. Firebeam, great work. And of course, just cannon directly through. Who needs doors? When you only have one door, the cannon goes clean through it. It's, well, classic cannon. You just punch the opponent in the face until they don't have a face anymore. Commander ability active for Team Westwind means that they're looking to fire some shots. Let's see. At this point, Team Westwind is slowly ramping up the pressure. They have the lead. They know they have the lead. They're being careful. Oh god, they just sniped. Yeah, so this is what I was getting at. They have the lead. They know they have the lead, and they're not going for blood, or they're not going to end the game. At least they're not aiming for it. They're aiming to pick apart. They're aiming to pick apart their opponent shot by shot, and we can see that where a Meme just lost one of their missile silos up here, though they've replaced it. But at this point, Team 1, Westwind in the blue, is looking to use their cannons to strip apart individual components of a Meme. Just shot by shot, whittle them down, grind them into the dust, take out eco, take out weapons, and get further ahead, as it were. That howitzer is being defeated by incredible amounts of anti-air from Team Meme. But the cannons come online once again. Is it time for Geiger to get another cannon? Please, you have floated 7,000 metal away. Thank you. Oh, the cannons. Another fire beam falls. The red team here really can't. They really can't sustain that kind of damage. I mean, that's what cannons are good at. They're good at just dealing constant damage that, in sum, is unsustainable. And Team Meme is looking to, like, what is your plan here? So I'm seeing they're upgrading their mines, which is, I mean, you can tank for a long time, especially with upgraded mines, but you need something, some way to stop the incoming damage. Because as we see what Westwind is doing, they're just going to keep adding on cannons. Eventually it just gets to a point where you can't outscale cannons with eco. Eco helps keep you alive longer, but you can't outscale it. Although, the AP snipers from Team Meme just took out a cannon. A cannon which had a double door from most angles but one. There was the tiny little gap here, and slid through it and wiped out an entire cannon, which is going to set Westwind back a little bit, slow it down. We have another position here for a cannon, currently unavailable due to, I guess it's due to a sniper being placed there. Yeah, there's just a double AP sniper, keeping Westwind in check while the Meme. just does damage where they can. But with the adding some upgraded mines in, the red team is actually starting to stabilize their eco a bit. And they're replenishing some of the lost goods that the cannons have been chipping away at for, well, the cannon's been chipping away for some time and are slowly being replenished. The question is, will it be fast enough? And usually the answer is no. Not because you can't replenish, but... Oh god, the sniper. I was going to say, not because you can't replenish, but because... the cannons, you can just build more of them. You can't... At some point, you can't build more eco. But you can always build more cannons. So it's not a war you win by virtue of building more eco. But more eco does help when you have the time. And you know, if you manage to snipe your opponent's cannons with literal snipers, then I guess it makes up for it. Like, you know, if your opponents build a new cannon and then they get destroyed because you're really good at sniping, then they don't get further ahead. And now you just have more eco and they have nothing to show for it. So that's, you know, pretty good. For a second I thought that nuke was going to make it through. It was just dip, dodge, diving, ducking, and dodging through every one of those volleys right up until it didn't. So my question is, how is Westwind going to ramp up the pressure? Like, it should just be more cannons. They just need to be a little bit more careful about it. Like, they've got a lead. Even now, they are ahead. It's just that Team Anemone is clawing their way back sniper shot by sniper shot. Red team does have a fire beam and a plasma beam. Both are vulnerable to direct fire cannon shots, because they are entirely undefended. However, blue team, Team Westwind, does not know where those are, and is unlikely to accidentally hit them. But that could give... That's a risky play, but it could give the red team a bit of a... Oh! I say that, but that plasma just got sniped out by the cannon shell. I was gonna say, it was a particularly risky play, not spending your money on doors, but I mean, they don't have the money to spend on doors, so I guess risky play is the best thing you're gonna get. And if they had managed to fully complete that plasma, that could have been another great tool for door sniping any and all of Westwind's cannons, and we've seen how well Team Anemone has been at sniping. Oh dear. That's not good. Losing the anti-air pillar, as well as leaving the swarm missile open to getting sniped. Not good, because it wasn't a swarm missile, it was a nuke. That's just bad. Red team here is down to a single fire beam, which hasn't been revealed, as well as a nuke. And I think with that top nuke destroyed, having Anemone's firepower, Westwind saying, "All right, I think we've done enough. It's time to go for the core." Is that true? Kind of. Westwind is struggling for power. I think they just didn't have the battery. I don't know. They're struggling for power over here. Oh god. The cannons. Alright, now Anemone is struggling for power. They have a combined sum of 2.5 turbines. Yes, this one counts as half a turbine, because it's only the half revealed, or the half powered. Malm making a giant battery nest, because when one battery goes, it all needs to go. I like the choice of mortars here. Oh, good lord. I think Westwind is now switching back into back into just chipping apart, wearing down Team 2. They're managing to not do a whole lot of damage with their cannon shots. A significant sum of those shots are passing clean through background bracing, as well as just hitting wood where there's nothing behind it. So they're not doing a whole lot of damage, but they are doing some damage. And more importantly, they're ramping up their damage potential, as we have 2 more cannons under construction for Team Westwind. Honestly, the whole reason Team Meme and Anemone is still in the game is because they've done such a great job at counter-sniping and general map control. Has kept Westwind just stunted. Like, almost completely shut down in terms of growth, due strictly to, well, AP snipers and similar activities. This is very good play from Team Meme and Anemone. They've reconstructed a lot of their turbines here. Buzzsaws chipping open components, cannons flying. 2 more cannons fly harmlessly through red team's base. Whiffing entirely, just bypassing background bracing with nothing to show for it. Half of Westwind's cannon shells going directly to red team's core. Oh boy. Yeah, this is rapidly becoming unsustainable for red team. It's just cannon after cannon after cannon. Meme and Anemone is surviving because they have a fairly substantial bank worth of armor. They spent... Oh, the massive counter snipe. The door snipe with the plasma, and it all comes crumbling down. I mentioned it earlier, but the hidden plasma. The hidden plasma. It can do a lot of work, and here's a perfect example. The one door snipe. No one saw this coming. Eliminating the howitzer and taking with it a overwhelming majority of Malm's weapons. That's going to set Westwind back a huge amount. Malm has a single cannon remaining. Malm is only half the team, so Westwind still has a handful of cannons, 3 of them total. But this is not the position you wanted to be in as Westwind. As Westwind, you were looking to ramp up the damage and edge Meme and Anemone out of the game. But at this point, red team actually has more... Oh god, the plasma coming back for vengeance. Eliminating another cannon. Does that officially put Team 2... No, Team 2 still is at a weapons disadvantage. It's 1 plasma beam, 1 fire beam to 2 cannons. I guess... Meme and Anemone does have a mortar and a nuke. The nuke hasn't been fired in a while. And, well, it's the chances of it making it across are very, very, very slim. Case endpoints. There's no reason not to fire it, just it's not a it's not a practical chance of it getting any real damage. This laser doing what lasers do best, finding holes to fire through. Very effective. You'll love to see it. The thick chunk of bracing around a Meme and Anemone's base has been picked away at for some time, and has now become damaged to a point where chip damage, just the explosion radius of the cannon, is finally getting through. A Meme and Anemone has been surviving off of having spent a lot of their money on a big piece of armor. On a big piece of armor that has just been nigh impenetrable, but it cannot be replaced, not meaningfully, not with metal at least, for they simply do not have the money for it. It is replaced by wood, which is much, much easier to penetrate. That will be a more vulnerable position as we have buzzsaws flying everywhere. Westwind looking like they're scattering their shots all over the place, hunting and peeking for spots to slowly dissect a meme anemone. There is a solid chance that howitzer plus triple cannon goes clean to the solid chance. Howitzer plus triple cannon goes clean through a meme anemone's defenses around the core and directly ends the game. I don't know if Westwind knows this. I suspect they know this because that is a whole lot of firepower. I mean, howitzer plus triple cannon is a stupid amount of firepower. That's like game-ending amounts of penetration, unless there's a portal involved. However, Geiger doesn't have the energy to do that. Like, doesn't have the energy production. Unless using commander ability, which they did, and that was almost lethal. Had that cannon shell actually hit the last, had it actually gone through and hit the armor placing here, that would have penetrated and gone clean to the core and eliminated red team in its entirety. However, a quick thinking shot, the fire beam from above burning that final cannon shell out of the air, has left red team still in the game and team Westwind out of energy. They're unable to fire their weapons. It's beautiful. Oh god, the nuke makes it. Oh god, the nuke made it through all the anti-air. Is there a sniper follow-up to take out the cannons? No. Holy smokes. That was so close. That was too close. Team Westwind almost lost just about every single cannon again to a nuke that just snakes through all of the anti-air. Oh my god, it's just back and forth, man. They don't stop. Team Meme Anemone, with a single core wounded to 74%, is just picking apart Westwind at just the most opportune moments, keeping themselves in this game despite being on the back foot for the entire duration of the game. It lands again, but this time doesn't break everything. Westwind defending sufficiently. There's going to be a nasty repair bill. In fact, Geiger doesn't have the money to repair that right now. But it remains, defenses remain intact. Oh dear. So here's the thing. A meme anemone still has... do they still have an eco? No, I don't think they have an eco advantage anymore. The upgrades out of Westwind have closed the eco gap. But the raw firepower output for Westwind is still... oh my god, I can't open my mouth without... I can't open my mouth, and Westwind can't open their doors without a meme anemone doing something to someone. It's... what is happening here? Westwind loses another howitzer. It's that plasma beam. This is one of the most devastating plasma beams I have seen in a long while. It's just... it's so much damage. How have you not invested in another one to do this again? Like, Geiger in the lower fort has any amount of cannons. Clearly, you've got meme anemone levels of aim and just door snipe everything. Just get one plasma and remove all of your opponent's weapons. It's that simple. Or so they say. What is... go? Oh lord. And all the anti-air goes away. Oh god, it's... Okay, so Meme and Anemone has managed to reconstruct the metal bracing around the front of their fort again. That should still be penetratable by that quantity of cannons. Oh! It isn't. It wasn't. The cannons all impact, going clean to the core, but the howitzer plus triple cannon does not break a Meme and Anemone's defenses. The core survives. It takes a little bit of splash damage, knocking it down to 53%. They survive. And that's... Oh, Lord. That wasn't even a door snipe. That just went through the tiny door. Just penetrated and took out another howitzer. This plasma is the most devastating plasma I have seen in a very long time. You know, the worst part about this is Meme and Anemone. They survived that previous Alpha Strike because they had spent so much metal and so much money on defending and creating a giant static block in front. That block is way too expensive to rebuild and has not been rebuilt yet. If Team Westwind just fires that same shot in the same position all going straight to the core, it's going clean through. This is not enough. Like, you need another like 3 or 4 layers of armor, of metal armor, to defend against the howitzer triple cannon. I think Westwind doesn't know that it hasn't been replaced yet. And plasma has just been devastating. Like, oh god. I think Westwind doesn't know that the block hasn't been replaceable yet. All they see is the outer layer, and the outer layer is flush and well defended. Oh. Yeah, Meme and Anemone didn't take much damage there. I think they're just going to rebuild it with metal, as they seem to be doing. And then they're just going to be able to tank another massive Alpha Strike from the howitzer triple cannon. And every time Westwind tries to have nice things, the plasma comes in and makes them have not nice things anymore. Just removes all the nice things. This one plasma... How long until Meme and Anemone gets a second plasma? Is my question. Probably a while, because they've got a howitzer instead. Which, you know, fair enough. There's still a fairly chunky amount of anti-air from Westwind, so this howitzer is out of a Meme and Anemone is not guaranteed to make it across. Wouldn't even give it a high chance of getting across. You'll see here in a moment. Howitzer flies. Oh, the cannon followed up. 2 more cannons. 16%. 1 more cannon. Swing and a miss. A Meme and Anemone completely broke, and no defenses in front of their core. They have limited time, very limited time, to rebuild those defenses. Like, we're talking selling off half of their stuff. Oh, that almost caused the howitzer to collapse again. That's not enough that's not enough defenses to stop the cannons. The fire beam defending one of them. The second fire beam defends it. Oh! They survived it again! The fire beam is burning out all 3 cannons after the howitzer impact. What is happening? A Meme and Anemone, to be clear, still does not have enough defenses to defend their core. They are like 1,000 metal shy. And they're relying entirely on these fire beams, which I think Westwind's had enough of the fire beams. Yeah. Alright, so Westwind has returned to firing at Meme and Anemone's weapons rather than the core. You can tell because Meme and Anemone just lost all of their lasers. Uh-oh. Now if Westwind goes directly to the core, they just win. Whether Westwind knows this or not, I don't know. They may They may still try to go for weapons and whittle down Amim and Anemone a little more, because clearly red team doesn't want to die. Howitzers defended by the anti-air. Machine gunner on machine gunner violence. Oh dear. He tried to cancel the nuke. Oh, massive damage. And the follow-up shot? No real damage there. Firebeam goes through, igniting some of the internals, but won't end the game as, yeah, Westwind is saying you're not allowed to have nice things anymore. Amim and Anemone has just been an absolutely dominant and existential threat with any and all weapons they get access to. And Westwind is tired of it. They're saying, we have had economic, I guess not economic, but we have had substantial advantage in terms of weapons firepower for 30 minutes, and you have not been destroyed. This is unacceptable. We are going to pick you apart from the outsides until you have nothing left, and only then will we eliminate your core, which seems to be the only way to take out... well, if you have the triple cannon follow-up right now, which you don't really have, we might... It might just end... No, you're still aiming... Okay, you're aiming for weapons. Understandable. Nuke falls. More anti-air falls. Yeah, okay. So at this point, red team is really struggling to get anything done. They have officially lost every single weapon available to them. No howitzers, no laser beams of any flavor, no nukes, no missiles. It's just a handful of machine gunners for anti-air. And now Westwind's going for the kill shot. Going directly to core because everything is falling apart for red team. Team Anemone is about to be eliminated from this match after what has been a crazy, almost comeback story. If Westwind, if you don't end this in the next 60 seconds, I am going to be disappointed and incredibly impressed. I'm already incredibly impressed, but holy smokes. 6%. 6% remaining on Amim and Anemone's core, and they're still standing firm against the onslaught that is Westwind. The top base. They're still not going directly for the kill shot. They're still taking out mines. They're going for the checkmate before trying to go for the kill shot. And there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, Team Westwind wins round 3 and the matchup in its entirety over their opponents, Team Amim and Anemone, in what is one of the best showings of a plasma beam I have seen ever. So give it up for our players here. Let me know which team is your favorite. As always, hit that subscribe button so we can see you guys in the next episode. And I'll see you guys later.